I'm back. You hear the music in the background. We got the classical Chinese music in the background. Again, I don't think it'll get me a copyright strike just because it's AI generated music. I think it's like an actual artist, and what they do is they just stretch the music out, so, through synthetic process. But it's called the best relaxing Chinese classical music, and then it's followed by some Chinese typescript, which obviously I can't read. So I'm just gonna go by that title. It's the best relaxing Chinese classical music. It is Tuesday evening. It's hot as Dickens here. I did a short run earlier because I wasn't doing a 10K run in that heat. I didn't know what the temperature was when I went out early, and it was like over 90 degrees. It's still like at least 87 or 90 now. Um, so I'm gonna wait until the sun goes down to do my long run. That's if I don't go to the gym first. Well, either way, if I go to the gym or not, I'm still gonna do my 10K run because I do 10K every day. 10K every day, no exceptions. And 10K is the minimum, guys. I usually do more than 10K, but 10K is the very minimum. In any case, again, we got the music popping off for you here. The best relaxing Chinese classical music is sounds beautiful, to be honest. And we're here with a new topic. I wanted to, uh, do something nerdy and something nerdy, but something lighthearted at the same time. So here is the topic. I know I'm gonna have to say the topic like 10 more times. I don't mind. But the topic is, what is your favorite anime and why? What anime are you currently watching? Okay. And I'm watching a bunch of them right now. Not as of this moment, but currently, that I have in my watch list between Netflix, Dis, uh, Disney Plus, and Crunchyroll. Between those three platforms, I'm watching a bunch of different series and some movies. So yeah, just be so I'm just curious. Let's have a topic on anime. What's your favorite? Why? What are you currently watching? What have you been watching? What was your favorite? Let's talk about that. And again, I hope you guys appreciate the background music. I like it. So I think, for the last couple of weeks, people have been responding well to me playing like ambient music or lo-fi music in the background. Uh, so let's kick it off. What type of anime do you watch? If you do watch anime, if you don't watch anime, let us know why. But if you do watch anime, what's your favorite? What you're currently watching? All right. Um, Fairy Hater 2.0 says, "Yo, what's up, man? What's up, Fairy Hater?" Now it just says favorite anime show or movie. Yeah. So we can, so series or movie, and also I want to include manga as well, and the Korean version. Some of you know there's a Korean version of manga and anime. Sometimes some people just call it Korean anime or Korean manga, but it has its own name for it. So if you watch the Korean stuff, then give that a shout out because I haven't really watched a lot of Korean anime and manga. But some of you who are like really nerdy about anime and manga will notice that when you look at the production for a lot of anime today, a lot of it, even though they're made in Japanese studios, a lot of the artists are coming from South Korea. So that probably explains why they've have started their own version of it. Not just a salute and lo-fi BGM uh, FTW. So I can say what's my favorite from the past. As far as what I consider my favorite now, I'm not sure. I think the first anime I ever watched was Voltron, the Lion Force Voltron. I think that was the first anime that I watched, and that was also with Robotech. And if people are nerdy about the early anime, they know that Robotech was actually three different shows that were like hyper edited together to make it seem like one seamless show. Robotech was like Macross, two versions of Macross, and another show that were cobbled together, and that made Robotech here in America. Voltron, what we call Voltron here, was just the Lion Force Voltron. There was actually three Voltrons. Um, the other Voltron, the vehicles, that that didn't do as well here, so it was they only showed that for one season here. The space vehicles, Voltron, and then the Voltron 3 they never showed here in America at all, and they all were supposed to like have like protected different parts of the universe. Like I think the space vehicles Voltron protected like the inner part of the universe. The Lion Force protected the outer part, the outer edge of the universe, and the one that never played here, the Lion 2 or Lion 3, I can't remember, protected like the middle of the universe. So, but anyway, most people only know the Lion Force one. So that was my first anime series that I watched. As far as first anime movie, I don't know if we're talking about like strictly like anime. Like if it was made in a Japanese animation studio, it was anime. But if we're talking about like the stuff that was dubbed and subtitled here, if you're a purist, that might be what you consider like like actual anime. But as far as movie, I would say like Transformers the movie was my first anime movie because it was made in an anime studio, but it was made for an American audience. So some purists might not consider that. But if you watch Transformers the movie, the 1986 movie, that was like pure. To me, that's pure anime. Carrie Robinson says hi. What's up, Carrie? Nigel says Grave of the Fireflies could be up there, but I put that in my most impactful anime to me. That made me realize how powerful anime could be, and that it's not just fantasy but can be 100% drama. I haven't watched it. I haven't heard of that one. Yeah, that's the thing about anime. Literally every literary genre there's an anime for, because in Japan it was just easier to make animated films and TV shows than live action because they just didn't have the production budget that they have here to make live action movies of the same quality that you would get here in Hollywood, or even like of the quality you see in South Korea now. South Korea has high quality movies and TV shows and K dramas. Japan does not put that same sort of production budget into their films, into their live action films. There are a few good movies and shows out of Japan, but by and large, they don't have the same cinematography that you'll get in like South Korea or here in the US. By the way, guys, as always, I'm going to just completely ban trolls. So I'm not going to even, give them any response. If you see these little troll people, I just didn't catch their comments yet. But once I catch them, they're gone. I'm not even bothering timing them out. I'm just going to ban them. Custody Defendere Protege says Transformers as a kid in the 80s set me up to love all anime. It definitely counts. Yeah, I think it counts too. I was just saying, there might be some purists out there, Custody, who think if it's not like the stuff that was like packaged for like a Japanese audience, then it's not real anime. But it was definitely real anime. So that counts to me as my first anime movie. As far as my first anime show, it was Voltron. But yeah, that 1986 movie, that was the truth. I actually bought it. Like I had the DVD here in my room here. Custody says I wish I could see Akira for the first time again too. That's funny. I don't know if you watch Honest Trailers here on YouTube, but they literally just did an honest trailer for YouTube. I mean for Akira. just like a few hours ago. So if you don't know Honest Trailer, they do like parodies of movie trailers or parodies of like TV show trailers, and they have a parodies of video game trailers as well. So they got honest games, honest movies, and honest TV trailers. And they just did an honest movie trailer for Akira just like a few hours ago. I was just watching it. That's probably what probably gave me the idea to talk about anime today, because I was originally going to talk about something else, but I wanted to talk about something more lighthearted. And unfortunately, I know talking about anime is going to attract a lot of weeaboos and incels into the chat, but that's fine. My ban button works just fine. Nigel says, "Bro, you need to watch Grave of the Fireflies." And I know it sounds like I'm young with the bro, but I'm 42. Graves is such a classic. I had to exaggerate. Yeah, I don't believe I've ever heard of it. So you're 42, so we're not that far apart in age. So you remember the day original anime geeks, right? We were a niche group. Now, anime is pop culture in America, but back in the day, it was niche. And the only way you was watching like anime before you had the stuff on Cartoon Network was that you even saw the stuff that came. You even watched the repackaged stuff that came on in the 80s, like Voltron and Robotech. Um, Even MTV started playing Speed Racer in the 90s. But like aside from that, if you wanted to catch like all the movies and all the stuff that was mainly for like a Japanese audience, you had to actually go out and buy the tapes, the videotapes, or the DVDs, like from Suncoast movies and videos. That store that was like a pop in place for a lot of film and anime geeks. Like they would go to Suncoast to buy these because they would have like a huge subsection just of like anime. And I might still have an old videotape somewhere in this house for like one of those videotapes I bought from Suncoast when it used to be open. HMG says my favorite cartoon in the 80s was G Force. Okay, that's what's up. Um, these 26788 says Ninja Scroll. I think was my first. That's a good one to start off with. Ninja Scroll was dope. The funny thing is, I don't think I watched that till like maybe like 2000. No, was it mm, late 90s? And then it was either late 90s, and then I watched it again in the 2000s. But that was me and my friend's favorite. Like it was like Ninja Scroll, and then for me also like Vampire Hunter D, Project A and Akira, and then like of course Transformers the movie. Those were my favorite. Oh, and Fist of the North Star, of course. That was like my first like anime that was like an overseas anime type movie, was like Fist of the North Star. I watched that probably like in like 91, 92. But like I said, for the most part, if you wanted to see like anime films, you had to actually go out and buy them. And like by that time, people who the original Dragon Ball fans were the ones who were like actually going out and buying the tapes. Like the to me, like the people who started watching anime through Cartoon Network, I mean, it counts, but it doesn't count as much as the guys who actually had to go out and buy these things, as opposed to just having it having it for free when it came out. When it came on basic cable. I mean, it counts, but it's not the same. Custody says, "Wow, Ninja Scroll was so hardcore." Also, yeah, banning weeaboos and incels. I mean, I don't have a problem with them being on the channel, Custody. I'm just saying if they come here like trolling, because you know, anime attracts a certain crowd, right? So you're gonna get the good and the bad, and unfortunately there's a lot of bad that comes in with the anime fan base. Like the anime fan base is probably one of the top three most toxic fan bases there are when it comes to pop culture. Um, Anime, Taylor Swift, K-pop. um, Who else? I could think of some other fan bases, but those are like some of the top three when it comes to most toxic fan bases. And I just says, yeah, exactly. We were the nerds. Oh yeah, like I said, I was a nerd both academically and like when it came to like my interests. Like I said, going out to buy anime and stuff like that. And even Fist of the North Star was because I went to see that at a friend's house, and I was like, man, this is awesome. Being like a Bruce Lee fanboy, I instantly saw the connection with Fist of the North Star when I first watched that. Custody says, "How's retirement?" All caps. I didn't see what he said. So BSK is here. Nigel says, "I'm in IT, so back then I was bootlegging them via LimeWire and BearShare, essentially torrent sites. Can I don't know, was LimeWire? Can you count LimeWire as a torrent site? Because back then you had BitTorrent. LimeWire, I don't think you can consider LimeWire a torrent site just because you actually downloaded it onto your you actually downloaded it on your hard drive. That's what kind of took them down. LimeWire, uh, Kazaa Media. Kazaa Media was better than LimeWire because it was less buggy. LimeWire, if you mess with LimeWire, you already know that your computer was getting infected, right? I don't know about BearShare as much. Didn't really use that. But LimeWire, you were definitely infecting your computer. Kazaa was much better, I think, than LimeWire, but it got taken down before LimeWire, and that's when everyone jumped over to LimeWire. But then, of course, the daddy Mac of them all was Napster. Custody says, "Cut from the same cloth, my friend." Deadlift to 79 says, "Braveheart was my favorite 80s cartoon." Okay, Braveheart, yeah, that was a cool 80s cartoon, but I wouldn't consider that anime though. I don't think that was made in a Japanese studio. Like for anime's sake, and there is a huge discussion within the anime fan base of what is and what isn't anime. For my part, if it was made in a Japanese animation studio, it was anime. But as far as I can recollect, Braveheart wasn't. Braveheart was, I think, made by the same people who made He-Man and Ghostbusters. Not real Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters. Like there was Ghostbusters, and then there was real Ghostbusters. So Ghostbusters, He-Man, Braveheart, I think they were all made by an American studio here. Bravestar. Nigel says Ninja Scrolls and D Fire, also Vampire Hunter D. Yeah, I don't like this. The messed up thing, both of them had like mediocre sequels. So the sequel to Ninja Scroll wasn't as good, and the sequel to Vampire Hunter D wasn't as good. Like both of them, like the original movies were good. Same thing with Project A-ko. I think Project A-ko had a bunch of spin-offs, but the original Project A-ko was dope. But that had a bunch of spin-offs. I don't think Akira. I'm trying to remember if Akira had a sequel or not. I don't think it did, since Akira was based like directly off the manga. D26788 says Vampire Hunter D was amazing. Yeah, that was my joint. That was my. Kasuri says the Fist of the North Star. Wow, forgot about that. Good call, man. Yeah. So they got the whole series on Amazon Prime, and I didn't know that it was a series, and it goes much more in depth than the movie does. So I've been watching that on Amazon Prime, but I actually fell off on it. I need to get back on that. So I've been so concentrated on all the anime that I've been watching on Netflix and on Disney Plus now that it's merged with Hulu. All the anime that was on Hulu is now on Disney Plus, and of course Crunchyroll. But I don't watch Crunchyroll that much because most of the stuff that's behind a paywall on Crunchyroll is free on Disney Plus. And Crunchyroll was better before it merged with Funimation, or I should say before they bought out Funimation. Before it merged with Funimation, they had a lot more of their stuff that you could watch for free. But when they merged with Funimation, they put a lot of stuff behind their paywall that was used to be free on their app. Dundrell Harris says hello. What's up, Dundrell? Nigel says Fist of the North Star was also the first true gore fest style anime for me. For me, it was a well, yeah. I watched Fist of the North Star before I watched Akira, but to me, Akira, I don't know. I don't know. Vampire Hunter D was pretty was I guess they all '90s all that '90s sort of anime sort of had like a lot of gore into it. Like Fist of North Star was gory, Vampire Hunter D was gory, Akira was gory. Um, yeah. Plus, '90s anime was much better because it was still hand drawn. Like a lot of the anime today, I don't like because it looks like it's computer animated and it looks computer animated. Like even the stuff that looks regular, like they'll add like little CGI elements to it to me, which takes down the quality of it. So a lot of the stuff that came out like after like a lot of stuff that came out after 2010 is just kind of trash to me. It's still some good stuff, but the, the animation, the quality isn't there, except for like that one film studio. I can't remember the name of it, but the one who like works with Disney to bring to like they, I think they use Disney as a distributor here in America, like when they release a film in like the big theaters. Cook says anime is trash, dude. Well, so like I said, guys, we're gonna get a lot of trolls when you talk about anime. So it's alright. When I catch it, I'm just gonna ban people because you're not gonna troll me for free. You're gonna have to pay for that privilege. BSK says no savvy. Can't understand the rest. Custody says, yeah, I had to hunt down VHS with the manga symbol. LOL, I was really into the old Kung Fu Wu Tang styles shows too. Yes, I think I think I did a live act. Well, no, I did a live stream, but it wasn't a vertical live stream, so I didn't actually have an audience built into the live stream. But I had did like a conversation where I was talking about Kung Fu theater, which in in Baltimore it was known as Black Belt Theater, but most places around the country, back in like the '80s and early '90s, they had Kung Fu theater, which usually came on like a Saturday, sometimes a Sunday in the afternoon, and they would show all the old Kung Fu movies, which were usually from the Shaw Brothers or Golden Harvest, because they were like the rivals, like so. But yeah, a lot of places where you would buy the old kung fu movies, you would buy anime too. Like I have a Vietnamese friend. He had a few stores, including at a few flea markets where he sold like weapons and like DVDs, and he sold like a lot of anime and old kung fu movies, as well as like up to date movies that had just came from overseas. Like he had a connect with a person from overseas, so he could bring over like recent movies as soon as they were released over in Asia. So like when The Raid first came out and a bunch of other movies first came out like overseas, like he was getting the DVDs like that month or a few months later to sell right here in Maryland. So we were always watching like the most up to date like international like martial arts films because he had a connection with someone overseas. But yeah, usually the places where you will find them selling like anime and stuff, you'll probably see them selling like the old kung fu films or the action flicks from the '80s as well. And Nigel says the block button is too delicious. Absolutely. Custody says LaneWire was so many viruses. I preferred IRC channel sharing. Yeah, I use Disney Plus. I mean, sorry, not Disney Plus, LimeWire, but I didn't use it as much as I used Kazaa Media. I don't know if you guys remember Kazaa Media. That was a way better. And I was downloading everything on Kazaa and never got viruses. Like I was downloading software, music, movies, like or like everything. Like I didn't even need to buy software because like anytime there was like a new any sort of new software out, I could find it on a Kazaa. Now this is your LimeWire was virus haven. Napster was the goat officially. All right, Cuck is gone. Custody says thanks for sharing your opinion. He's gone, guys. He's not going to like just if he don't have anything else to say, then we're not going to let some low IQ person keep breathing our space, our virtual space. Like he can go inbreed somewhere else and go shoot up a school because that's probably all he's good for. He's either some little fucking dumbass retarded kid who's probably going to end up shooting up his school out of frustration because no one likes his dumbass, or he's just some retarded grown ass man with a neck beard sitting in the basement jerking off to X videos of guys fucking lady boys. So anyway, YT is gay says you sound like a white Robert De Niro. Huh? You mean a black Robert De Niro? I don't. It's probably funny and it just flew over my head, but I just says yeah, a lot of modern anime has that CG stuff, and the next paradigm will be AI generated anime, and at that point I'll be done. Oh, they already got the AI generated anime. It's trash. Like, like I hate to point out like porn, but like in the porn they have a lot of that little that really cheap AI looking anime stuff, like the little hentai stuff. Like it's not like the you know what I'm talking about. If anyone who's ever gone to a porn site have seen those that generative AI anime art stuff, it looks very low budget. Derek Carey says best anime in my opinion is the vintage. For the most part, yeah, but there has been I mean I can't lie, there's been some good anime that has come out within the last 10 years, guys. Like um Attack of the Titans is obviously one of them. Like usually for people who are trying to introduce anime to people who never watch anime and they want to like kind of ease them into it without giving them something just like off the rip weird, it would be like Attack on Titans. That's that's usually the one I've introduced people to anime with was Attack on Titans. Then what was the one it ended a few years ago? Zombie Tokyo, what was it called? Tokyo Vampire Tokyo Ghoul. Tokyo Ghoul. That's yeah. That one was a good one to ease people into like anime. So Tokyo Ghoul, Attack on Titan, those were good. My Hero Academia is pretty good. Although I wouldn't give that to a first timer into anime just because, you know, they might find it off putting seeing something about like high schoolers. So for me, Attack on Titans, and now also by the same studio that did Attack on Titans is the Vinland Saga. Vinland Saga is dope, and that's made by the same studio as Attack on Titan. Nako says love to you from the UK, brother. Appreciate it, Nako. Derek says, can you give my brother Lusas? It's his birthday. It would definitely help make his day. Also, birthday shout out to Lusas. Cuss. But if you guys want like a grandiose like sort of like shout out, drop a cash app. I don't mind shouting people out if you know if it's asked in good faith like he just did it. But if you want like a more grandiose shout out, guys, drop me a cash app and I'll do like a more you know celebratory shout out. Custody says I bought Nunchucks, a pirated VHS movie, and got a comic from the same stall as a kid. I missed that. Yeah, it was this place in Security Square Mall here in Maryland, like outside of Baltimore. I went to. They had all that stuff, the weapons, the DVDs. Um, he didn't have comics though. He didn't have that. Abney says an old white Scottish guy sold the best anime DVDs in West Virginia. I always went to him. Can't remember his name, but his son is a DJ on West Virginia radio called Spike Nesmith. Spike. Huh. I know a Spike who works at a little place here. Well, he used to. The place closed down, so the guy unfortunately is not. He's I think about to be homeless. To be honest, he's like in his. He's got to be like early early 60s, maybe late 50s at the youngest, but like early 60s maybe. But he's originally from Portland, Oregon. He's not from the. I mean, he lives here in Maryland, but he's not originally from here. He's originally from Portland, Oregon. So I don't think we're talking about the same Spike. But yeah, he also worked at this shop here that sold the anime DVDs, the kung fu DVDs, the martial arts weapons, the little everyday carry tools. Like tasers and stuff like that. Custody says, yeah, well, an old Scottish man selling anime DVDs is like boss level. Especially if he had like a Scottish bro that he talked with, to have him talking about the titles of saying the titles of these anime would be probably kind of epic. You want Dragon Ball Z? I can't do a Scottish bro. Let me. Talavera Jr. says, you from Chirac? If you mean Chicago, no. I mean, I used to live in Illinois, but not within Chicago. Nigel says Akuma levels of boss level. And this is CGI Advent Children was boss for years until it overnight looked cheap ass cutscene video game level. Custody says, by the way, loving the background music, bro. Thank you. Like I said, it's called the best relaxing Chinese classical music. People liked it the last time I played the classical Chinese music, so I'm doing it again. Plus, since we're talking Asian type centric stuff, then why not? China. Oh, by the way, China has like their own little cheap version of anime, but it's not good. It's not. Like I said, South Korea has, outside of Japan, South Korea has like the best like Asian anime stuff. Philippines has some knockoff stuff too, not good quality. Derek says Scavenger's Reign was great. I haven't heard of that one. Custody says, yeah, Attack on Titans and Death Note. Oh yeah, I forgot Death Note. Some of you are new to the stream, but I actually have a Death Note like that I show people. Actually, I'll show you guys. And I got some other anime here too. I mean, some other manga. Bear with me a moment. And yes, that is a little rice hat on the wall before you even ask me. Because I know someone's gonna ask. If they haven't already, I haven't gotten to the latest comments. But yeah, I literally have a Death Note. So I don't feel like opening it up since I have it packaged. I mean, I put all my, something people aren't aware I do, this very nerdy, is every book after I read it, I put it in like some sort of cellophane or something to protect it. I have the first copy of Dragon Ball Z. When I say first copy, I don't mean original copy. I mean like the first issue of the manga. I have this just came out on Free Comic Book Day a few months ago. This is the One Piece manga, but it's like a new one. It gives Ace his backstory. And I got some stuff I got from the Otakon, the anime convention that was in Baltimore and then came to DC. This is like one of them. I think, was it 26? I'm trying to remember which year it was. This is the 2015. One of these, I think it was the 2016. That's the last one I went to that was in Baltimore. The other ones have been in DC, so I haven't gone. But this has also the a first issue of One Punch Man, and it came for free with going to the anime convention. So that was pretty cool. So those are the mangas I have. The Dragon Ball Z issue number 1, the Death Note where you can actually write people's like names in it, and there's like a section and it describes the what do you call the Japanese spirits or demons? The the, I can't remember the term, but it describes that and how the Death Note works and stuff like that. And I have some Batman manga too. Like a lot of people don't know, they did a manga based on Batman over there. This, and it's based on like the more of the. It was written like I'm say about 20 years ago, but they based it on the Silver Age Batman, even though it was written like in the 2000s or late 90s, but they based it on the 1960s Batman. And then there was another Batman manga, but it was written to be like more modern, which is this one by Kia Asamiya, Batman Child of Dreams. So this is more like a more modern, contemporary take on Batman as a manga, though. This one though, they reversed it for like a Western audience, so it's not written, right to left, like ordinary manga is. It's written left to right, as for like a Western audience. Let me get back to the comments. Custody says, yeah, Attack on Titan's Death Note. Yep. I always recommend to newcomers. Tokyo Ghoul is tough. Yeah, that was a really good show. I was surprised it ended that quickly. Nigel says it totally sucks regarding the use of generic anime art styles. A topic for a different day could be mobile gaming, especially the anime ones, on how trash they are. Yeah, because those are all like a lot of people who enjoy the games that are based on like manga or anime, or what I should say, they'll sometimes make an anime or manga based on on some of the video games. So it is an overlapping crowd. Like usually those same people who are into those games and stuff will be also the people you see at the anime conventions, because it's pretty much all the same crowd. And usually a lot of the English voiceovers are all done by the same actors. So yeah, it's I guess you could say it's relevant. So I'm just getting some stuff up. Like Free says, are you young, defiant? I don't even know what that question means. Guys, if you talk to me in Gen Z talk, I'm not gonna know what you're talking about. Like Long Beach Griffey just did a video today making fun of how Gen Z people talk. Like, I don't understand that shit. Like, if you start talking to me like my niece and nephew talk to each other, I'm gonna be lost. I don't know skibidi, I don't know any of that dumb shit. You gotta talk to me in just standard English. Lord God said, shout out my brother from Bonaire. Kind of clever, but again, you thought I was gonna say it the way you were trying to get it done, but nah, you're in the band. I don't know who Young Define is, Life Free. Sorry, like I said, I don't pay attention to Gen Z stuff. Don't care about anything people under 30 say or do. I don't care about their artists or rappers or whatever. Don't care. Don't like them. Don't care. And they can't beat me. Until they can hit them Tide pads for 30 minutes straight after running and hitting the heavy bag and then spar afterwards. Can't even fuck with me. Karaoke says hi from Ireland. Top of the day to karaoke, if I'm saying that correctly. Custody says hi, CC. Yeah, I should have said CC as well because that's easier. Nigel says I must say Western style, aka American anime, has come a long way. It has, like, but the reason though is, Nigel, because some of that stuff, the so-called American anime, is still made in Japanese studios, like Castlevania. Like like I said, it's a divide in the nerd space of whether some of these things like Castlevania and other anime like that are considered anime or not. I know the other big debate was uh the last the last Avatar or whatever it's called. Like what? And like I told people in this little nerdy Facebook group, I said if it's made, as far as I'm concerned, if it's made in a Japanese animation studio, it is anime. But if it's made to look like anime, but it's not actually made in a Japanese animation studio, then it's not anime. That's I think that's the best way to put it, because there's different styles of drawing in Japan because anime is so widespread. You have different animation styles based on the genre, based on the target audience, or just based on the artist's own individual style. But I think Castlevania was made in a Japanese animation studio. So if it was, then to me that's anime. Um, and then like some of the stuff that was being made by DC animated movie universe back before that ended, some of that stuff was being made. Some of that stuff was definitely anime because some of it was made in animation studios in Japan. And you old school if you gotta catch yourself from saying Japanime, because for the old heads like us, I'm I still remember calling it Japanime. Powerpuff Princess is where you live. I live in Maryland. Custody says, "Whoa, that a bow staff? Yeah, it was a bow staff. I'm a martial artist as well, so I'm an all around like uh geek and Asian Asia file, if that's what you want to call it. Like people who love like Asian centric culture, pop culture, whatever. Although I don't pretend to be Asian. That's on some weeaboo type stuff. That's a level I will not ever approach. Ray says, "What's your favorite book?" Well, we're only talking about anime and manga here. So if you're talking about anime and manga, then it's my bat manga, because uh it's a manga book, but it's based on my favorite superhero, Batman. So bat manga would be my favorite manga book. Nigel says, "Well, the staff would go well and would be quite apropos with the rice hat." Yeah, right. That's it's kind of funny that I didn't even purposely do that, to be honest. I just put it there because it was easy to put than where I had it before, where it kept falling over. So I stuck it in the corner of the where the on my by my couch where it wouldn't fall down. And it's also next to like my bug out bag, which I know looks like just a regular book bag, but I did a whole video. I live streamed like all the contents of my bug out bag so that people can see like stuff, like if they if they are into like survivalism, bushcraft, the prepper lifestyle, or just being a backpacker. Like all the stuff in there would be like pertinent to people who are like backpackers, um, bushcraft enthusiasts, survivalists, or preppers. But so yeah, I put that next to like that with the bow staff, the rice hat, and it's the Chinese good luck charm too, if you can see that right there. Mary Lung, you have one more time. We're gonna stop this Don Cheadle shit. I'm talking about anime, manga, what's people's favorite anime, stuff like that. So if you can't say anything, if that's the only thing you can keep saying, you're gonna get banned. Vixter678 is back. He says Saint Seiya is an old one, but I love Greece. Is a story of honor and never giving up. I think, have I seen that? Sound like something I watched. Custody says, "Wow, keep that One Punch Man extra sealed, bro." Yeah, yeah, yeah. You saw it sealed up within my thing with the It's not the now. It's not the original one. That came out. That one is in my 2016. I don't remember when the manga, the One Punch manga, originally came out. Maybe one of you know which when that originally was published. The original, like when the original publishing, because I know it was in 2016. But even still, I'm keeping that one sealed up, like you said. All right, Ari Long is gone. This dude is just a troll. Fanuc. Custody says I have the manga Batman 2 and the manga Star Wars trilogies. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know they. So I've seen like the cartoons, but I didn't know they have a manga Star Wars like um, books. I haven't seen that. But which manga Batman do you have? Do you have the Bat manga, or do you have the Childhood of Dreams one? Because I remember the first one I saw was the Bat manga one, right? But when I went to the comic book store, they didn't have that. They had the other one, so I bought the other one, Childhood of Dreams. And then when I came back to the store, then I saw the Bat manga. I was like, oh, now they finally got that, so I bought that one too. So now I have both of them. They're by two completely different artists. So CC says, yeah, Bat manga, I need that. Yes, it's pretty cool. Like I said, it's like silver, like picture like a Silver Age Batman written written by a manga a writer, right? But written like in today's time, not back then. So it's kind of cool. Um, Custody says, shout out to the mod. I see you working in the background. Oh no, that's just me doing it. Usually the only time I have a moderator is usually my wife, but she what time is it? Actually she would be up, but she would be um she would be getting she would be getting ready for work right now, so she wouldn't be doing my moderation at this time. So, oh, let me see who that is. I gotta check my other phone. Um, Give me a second, guys. Oh yeah, that was the wife. But yeah, she's I don't Mrs. Contrarian isn't doing mod right now. She's actually on her commuter right now on her way to the office, complaining about they're blasting like rap music. That kind of sucks. Telling her to bring her earbuds with her. I mean, anyway, Blaze 2001 said, "Yo, what's up?" Don't know any of that Gen Z stuff. Don't care. I know what Riz means, but I had to literally ask someone a few days ago what skibidi means. So if you're not gonna talk in standard English, like even when I was young and I used a lot of slang, I knew in mixed crowds not to use slang that people aren't going to be familiar with. So I don't know. It seems like maybe Gen Z people aren't smart enough to realize that you have to talk in different ways to different crowds. But that's just because probably those people are stupid. Anywho, not saying you are, but if you know. Muhammad says, "My man, orange tea suits you." This is actually red. It's a little not the not crimson red as it used to be since I've worn it a lot outside and it's turned the color slightly, but this is still red, not orange. But yeah, you guys like the uh the classical Chinese music. It's kind of cool. Custody says, agree, funded by America, but still anime in a Japanese studio still means anime like Castlevania. Yeah, like I said, I think Castlevania was made in a Japanese animation studio, but like I said, there is a debate among some people that if it doesn't have the quote unquote anime look, but I'm like, nowadays, there's not a quote unquote anime look because stuff that looks like American animation is being made over there. So it just depends. Like usually what people think as being just anime, they're talking about shonen. It usually referring to just strictly shonen or shoujin anime. You know, shonen being like the young guys and shoujin the young women. Like usually when people are thinking of anime in the purest sense, they usually think of shonen anime, but that's just one way of that's just one of many variants of anime. So CC says, if you were an anime newbie, where would you start? Well, that's what I was just telling people. I was saying for newbies, like I always recommend to them, like either like Attack on Titans or Tokyo Ghoul. I think those are good ways to ease people into it, especially for people who think it's just for kids or it's just for like creeps looking at like animated sex. Like, of course, those are elements of anime, but um, by and large, most people, at least in the West, are attend to like shonen anime. And so yeah, I would start people as a newbie on Attack on Titans or Tokyo Ghoul because Attack on Titans has just an incredible story to it. However, you have to watch it from beginning to end because the story starts to get convoluted by after the second season. The story gets really convoluted. So that's what I would recommend for a newbie: Attack on Titans and Tokyo Ghoul. Cause so you don't even worry about trolls. Like I said, when I see the stuff, I just catch it. Like these people are, you know, losers. Um, and there's really no point in calling them out because I've called them out. A troll is never going to fight you in real life because they have nothing to gain from it. Like if these people see some of the backlog of my videos, they'll know that I'm a martial artist and I'm an army veteran, so I can legit fight. Like I've trained overseas, and so I've had people try to call me out in some of my videos, and I'm like, hey, anytime you want to fight, great. I was like challenging a someone who trains in Thai boxing to a fight is like wrestling a pig in mud. They love it. So it's like don't threaten me with a good time. Just tell me the time and the place. But no one who's a troll will really do that because, like I said, here, because I tell people, here are the links to my socials. You can reach out to me this way or email me, set up a place and time, provided that I can record it. That way, I can upload it here on YouTube so that people can see the results of that altercation. And usually, when I say that, they they ghost after that. So there's no point in even challenging them because they will never seriously do it. These are either retarded children or retarded men living in the basement with a itchy neck beard. That's all they are. They're low IQ people because no one who has half a brain would waste their time trolling on a random live stream instead of just having 1,000 other better things to do. Nigel says, "I'm definitely checking out Bat Manga." Oh, oh, you're welcome. It's a good read. Uh, Nigel says also made just salute to Custodia, a real one. Yes, sir. CC says Bat Manga sounds amazing. Yeah, it's a good read. It is a good read. And like I said, if you already like Batman and you love manga, you get the two in one. Like I said, and try both. You can try both books. One is Bat Manga, and like I said, that's based off the Silver Age Batman, like the Batman from the '60s. Just just so you know what you're going into, that's the Silver Age Batman from the '60s. Whereas the Batman Childhood of Dreams is more of a contemporary take of Batman by a Japanese artist. CC says music is incredibly relaxing. Good. That was the purpose. So I'm glad you guys like it. Argilla Cinecore 87 said, "What's up, man?" He said, "Man, you are a millennial brother." I'm Gen X actually. CC says, "Custody, you're a legend. Big up Manchester." See, that's why Custody's ready to fight because I heard people in Manchester have got those hands. Word is on the street here in the U.S. is people in Manchester can fight. That's what I've heard. Argilla says Avatar was made in South Korea. Okay, thank you. So then it doesn't count to me because, like I said, there's this huge debate amongst the Avatar fan base of whether it counts as anime or not. And like I said, guys, I don't. I was like, I wasn't old enough. I mean, I wasn't young enough that I wanted to watch the show when it first appeared on Nickelodeon back in the day in the '90s or early 2000s. Can't remember, but I was like, as far as I'm concerned, like I say, I don't care how it looks, but just where it's from. Like if the last Airbender started off in a Japanese studio's anime, if it didn't, then it's not anime, even if it looks like anime. I was like, looking like anime doesn't make something anime. To be anime it has to be made by a Japanese animation studio. That's my definition, and I, I think that's a pretty good. I think that's a good definition that gives you both the necessary and sufficient conditions of something being a anime content is that it was made in a Japanese animation studio. Sorry, I'm just replying real quick. Mitchell says, "Oh, shut up. Whom are you? Whom are you requesting to shut up? Because I can fight Mitchell, but you're probably just some douchebag typing on your phone who probably couldn't do 10 push-ups. Argula says I'm sticking with One Piece. I'm almost finished. So you talking about you have the whole manga collection. Um, Nigel says, "All right, elephant in the room time. Give your take on Dragon Ball Z. That's the quintessential anime series." See, that's the thing. I don't think it is the quintessential anime. I think Dragon Ball Z is only the quintessential anime to people who first started watching anime when it appeared on Cartoon Network. And it's so it's a generational difference. Like the older folks like me, our first take on anime was either the old stuff in the 80s, because back in the 80s a lot of these studios were buying up Japanese content and repackaging it and editing it for an American audience. So for us, we were the first wave of anime fans. Like the kid the 80s kids, the Gen Xers, like, and well, the Gen Xers and the very early millennials, right? We were like the first wave of anime kids because we got anime when it was first brought to an American audience, when it was like the repackaged stuff. And like they would do stuff like Robotech, for instance. Like Robotech was actually three different anime series that was like repackaged and edited to look like one show here in America, which they called Robotech. Same thing they did with was it G-Force? I can't remember, G-Force or whoever it was, but it was like two or three shows that were edited, repackaged for an American audience. Same thing they did with later on in the 90s, what they did with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. That was a bunch of different versions of like Super Sentai or whatever that they remade and dubbed, used American actors for for when they're out of uniform, and they called that Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. But that was based on a bunch of different Super Sentai series. They were all like put together to look like one continuous show here. So that's what they used to do in the 80s with the anime, was what they did with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And it was usually Saban who also produced Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. It was usually like Saban working along with other um, people that brought it here. So for me, that was the we were the first wave of anime folks. Then the second wave were the people who started watching like Dragon Ball Z, maybe Ranma one half, stuff like that. And like all the stuff that you would catch on like Cartoon Network, usually on Adult Swim at night. So for me, Dragon Ball Z isn't the quintessential. To me, the quintessential is gonna be like Voltron, Robotech, or Transformers, because Transformers counts. So, but as far as my take on it, I mean, of course I love Dragon Ball Z. I just, I showed you, I just have the first issue of Dragon Ball Z in my collection. But my problem with it was that the production and the writing were in sync. So you had a lot of filler in the Dragon Ball Z, in the original run of Dragon Ball Z. It was a lot of filler. They dragged on fights for like multiple episodes just because they had to they had to have enough they had to have enough content to release, so they were stretch it out. So I didn't I although Dragon Ball Z is most people's favorite, to me it's like one of the worst because the production was so bad how they did it. And I was like, I can't blame the writers. I blame the producers on how they decided to add all this filler, and it kind of sometimes it dragged down the show because I don't want to watch one fight for a whole month. So like assuming like you watch one episode per week, right? and it takes you a whole month to get through just one fight. It is goofy. So while I do love Dragon Ball Z, I hated the production quality because, like I said, it was too much filler, and they just they dragged on these storylines too long, and and originally was supposed to end with Akira Toriyama originally wanted it to end at the in the saga with what's his name? I forgot. The Cell Saga. The Cell Saga was originally supposed to end Dragon Ball Z, but again, the producers wanted to keep the story going, so he gave us the Majin Buu saga, and he purposefully made the Majin Buu saga bad just because he wanted to end the show. So when a lot of people think it dropped off in the Majin Buu saga, that was intentional. He made the Majin Buu saga bad intentionally because he wanted to kill the series off. He wanted it to end. He originally wanted to end at the Cell saga because that was where it left at a. If it ended in the Cell saga, it would have left off on a good note. But yeah, I mean, of course, I love Dragon Ball Z, but I think it dragged on way too long and it was way too much filler. Sorry for that long explanation. Custody says, Argilla, you're a champion. I'm on like episode 690 plus of One Piece. It never ends. See, here's my rant about One Piece. So I literally just started watching this a year and a half ago because originally I wasn't going to watch it because when I first saw it, I hated the animation style, even though my brother-in-law recommended me to watch it. And then I started talking with some people in a comic book store, and they was like, "No, you should." They was like, "Just try it out. It's actually pretty good. The storylines are good." And I was like, "All right, I'll try it." Plus, the YouTuber that I watch, this comedian named Long Beach Griffey, he loves One Piece, and I was like, "This show can't be that good." And just watching the first couple of episodes, it draws you in. The stories are amazing, and you actually care about the characters. Like, but the problem is, like, after the 516th episode, at the end of that arc, um, at least for the dub stuff, there or based on where you're getting it, like on Netflix and whoever else, I don't know if it's Hulu or whatever, but all of them, like, they skip that whole middle part that goes from the first half of One Piece to the second half, and that's like the amount of missing episodes between the 516th episode to where it leaves off and like a 10,068th episode. That's more episodes than the original that already aired. So to have me jump into the second half of the series where you have to miss like over like 550 episodes and just jump right in, I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that. I'm gonna have to wait until like they do something that people can see all of those missing episodes that happen in the middle. So I'm sure there's a lot that happen in the middle, and the only way you'll know it is if you actually read the manga. But if you're just watching anime, you're not gonna know all that stuff that happened in the middle of up in the middle of the series. Um, and plus the where it is on the second half now, like on Netflix and these other places, is only subtitle, and I'm I'm one of those guys who watch it dub. I'm not going to watch all of that in subtitles. It's going to take me like 3 times to watch one episode to catch everything that's going on if I watch it in subtitles. So I'm not doing it. Plus, the voiceover actors for this show are really good. So I don't want to switch to like the original Japanese voiceover. I want to hear the American voiceover actors. So I haven't watched anime. I mean, I haven't watched One Piece in almost a year now since they jumped over to the second half of the series, which is supposed to be the final episodes, but it's still like maybe 600 or so episodes more to go. So I'm not doing it. I'm either gonna need the dub stuff, and I need them to fill in all those 550 missing episodes between the first half. It bridges the first half of the series with the second half. Kevin Doherty says marching on together. Premiere Improvement says, hey dude, what's up, Premiere? CC says keyboard warriors will never show up. Yeah, exactly. It's no point in challenging keyboard warriors. They're never going to show up at all. And these be the same people, like anytime someone makes like a martial arts video, these people be like, oh, he's doing it wrong. That will never work on the street. This won't work against my gun and all sort of goofy stuff. I'm like, some of y'all need a life. Not you guys, I'm talking about like those trolls who leave comments to like martial arts YouTubers or people on Facebook who are like highlighting their martial arts gym. It's the same sort of folks. Custody says Army veteran of 11 years served in 1st Battalion, 2 rifles from 2001 to 2011. Also trained under Master Skin and Muay Thai. Master Skin, I haven't heard of him, but okay. But if you know, whoever your crew is, if he's in Muay Thai, sounds like that's a legit crew. When I say crew, I'm talking about, crew, the teacher, KRU, for 18 years and teacher with my fellow master John. They're literally idiot children. Only Supreme Thinking recommend 3 books. If you're not talking about anime, then I don't know what to tell you because I'm only talking about anime. Argilla says I'm Coast Guard vet. That's what's up. Premier says leave trolls, let trolls be trolls. You're a bigger man. Custody says thank you for keeping our shores safe and giving our boatmen a security blanket, Argilla. And plus, a lot of people. So I did a YouTube short where I talk about. I've done like a bunch of YouTube shorts where I talk about like elements of the military that people usually don't take seriously. And one of them was Coast Guard, and I gave them a huge shout out. And I was like, people think they do nothing. Like even other people in the military don't think Coast Guard does anything. And I was like, they don't realize there's like, the Coast Guard has like three special ops task force within the Coast Guard, and they do a lot of stuff. Like some of the stuff, like fighting pirates and all that sort of stuff, the Coast Guard handles. Like people think it's just the Navy. Coast Guard handles a lot of that stuff too. So yeah, shout out to the Coast Guards. Like I said, they do a lot of stuff that people don't even know. Like sometimes when you just hear about the military, when they just talk about the military doing stuff, on the seas, most people just think this is Navy, and then no, a lot of maritime combat is also meted out by the Coast Guard as well. Custody says I joined rifles because I hate the sea. The funny thing is, every branch. Well, I don't know about. When I say every branch, I'm usually not counting Space Force, and that's no knock against Space Force. It's just they're so brand new that they don't have the breadth of all the other branches that have been around for over. All the branches now have been around for over 70 years, with the newest, being the Air Force, and now Space Force, which branched out of the Air Force. But all of the branches, exempting Space Force, all have divers, right? Which is it's funny. Just like every branch of military has aviation as well. So every branch has aviation. Every branch has divers, combat divers. Every branch has special forces. The funny thing is the Marines was the latest to get a special forces, which is theirs are the Marine Raiders, which they got from they had like special forces capable light infantry, which was force recon, but then they took some of those folks and put them in SOCOM, so they became the Raiders, And like unlike all the other special forces units, you can only be a Marine to go into to become a raider. Like whereas the other ones um will take people from other branches, but the Marine Raiders, you have to be a Marine to be a Marine Raider. Like no other way. They only want their own. Nigel says the thing with troll comments is they clog up this chat train. So it affects my OCD. Yeah, so let's just ignore them and get back to anime, guys. Fair, CC says fair play, custody, much respect. Argella says I'm an early millennial. So yeah, I mean, because some millennials think they're Gen X, but anyone born in '81 and after is a millennial, even though they can probably identify closely with Gen X, which is why they form a hybrid micro generation of the last few years of Gen X and the first 2 years and like the first and like the first couple of years of millennials, which is called the Zennials. Zennials are everyone from 1977 to 1983, so that includes me as well. And they sometimes just call that a Star Wars generation, 77 to 83, because that's when the three movies of the original trilogy of Star Wars was made, 77, 80, 83. So you can count that if you want Zennials. And like I said, the Zennial generation were like the first ones who were watching like the first wave of anime to hit America. Like unless you were living in Japan before then and you got to see like the anime that came out like Astro Boy and all that sort of stuff. And, like Astro Boy and Speed Racer came out in like the 70s and like the show that became like G Force and all that sort of stuff. Like some of that stuff came out in 70s. We also gotta give a shout out to the late Stan Lee. Late Stan Lee helped bridge anime and bring it over here because they worked with one of the studios there and gave them Spider-Man. That's why we got that kooky 70s Japanese Spider-Man live action series that was produced in Japan in association with Marvel because Stan Lee had this deal. In exchange, he brought some of their stuff over here, and he actually helped broker the deal that got us Super Sentai over here that became Mighty Morphin Power Rangers because of Stan Lee. So Stan Lee was the man. Guys, I'm not gonna keep shouting out people's birthdays. If you want me to do that, drop a cash app. I don't mind doing it every once in a while, but when you keep asking it over and over, and then you think I'm gonna try to say something that sounds quasi-sexual, I'm not that. Try that on lower IQ people. That shit's just not gonna work on me. I don't know why y'all idiots think so. If you want me to shout out a name, drop a cash app. The cash app link is in my description for the channel. You can drop me a cash app, you can drop me a Venmo, or you can buy me a coffee. Otherwise, you got nothing coming. But don't keep trying to ask me to shout out people's birthdays when you're just trying to get me to say something that sounds sexual. You are not Bart Simpson, and I'm not Principal Skinner. So again, stop trying to use shit that we were doing like 30 years ago. You're not clever. You're not smart. You're not original. Nigel says Gen X. Just Google box breathing techniques. No, guys, just listen to the music. That should just ignore some of these idiots in the comments. Just listen to the music. You should be good. And the proper relaxing breathing technique is in through your nose, right, and out through your mouth, but not like a hard, like pursed lips, like exhale gently. And when you breathe in, you're using your diaphragm. Don't breathe through your stomach. Diaphragm. Breathe in through the diaphragm, out through your mouth. That's how you do that. Do that. Listen to the music. It should be good. Ignore trolls. Like the the whole point of trolls is for them to disturb you. If they don't disturb you, then they failed at their one job. Like I said, don't bother them. It's like no one comes to their job knocking, kicking dicks out of their mouths while they're working. So, let them be. I'll just ban them as I see them. Now just says Dragon Ball Z was essentially anime soap opera, absolutely no different than Days of Our Lives, Grey's Anatomy, etc., etc. Lazy writing designed for quantity over quality. Again, I don't blame the writers. I blame the producers. They made them do a lot of filler for that show to stretch it out. I don't think they deliberately made it a soap opera because like if you look at the precursor to Dragon Ball Z, just Dragon Ball, it was better written. Like Dragon Ball, the original series, was much better written than Dragon Ball Z. It didn't have a lot of filler. The stories, the stories were coherent. They weren't dragged out. You didn't have to. You didn't watch a 2 month long fight. You know, it Dragon Ball was much better written, but Dragon Ball Z is the better story. But Dragon Ball is 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 better made content, right? And then a lot of people don't count GT as because it's not considered canon, or it is considered canon depending on where you are with it. Because even though Dragon Ball GT wasn't a manga written by Akira Toriyama, he did still come in and write for several episodes of Dragon Ball GT. So you can kind of count it as canon, depending on whether you want to or not. But a lot of people don't count GT as canon, and I don't really myself. Even though Akira Toriyama did write several episodes for the show, but he never wrote the manga for GT. It was basically just meant to keep Dragon Ball Z going, which again he was against anyway because he wanted to end it in the Cell Saga, but because they forced him to keep the show going, he intentionally wrote a bad story with the Majin Buu saga. He thought making such a idiotic storyline would kill the show off, and that was his intention. But like again, he did come back to do Dragon Ball. What's the new one? Unfortunately, since Akira Toriyama died this year, we're not going to get the continuation of that series. The Dragon Ball. What's the new one, guys? Forgot the name, but I, I like that. To me, that's the best of the three so far. My only problem with the newest series was that it started to become a little bit over the top. But other than that, it's much. It takes the best elements of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z and puts it into this new show where it's coherent. It's coherent writing. It's not dragged out, but it has the more of the gravitas of Dragon Ball Z. Kicked in with Kanan says, "Why didn't they ever make the Dragon Ball movie? I've been waiting for that forever." Which Dragon Ball movie? You talking about there's supposed to be another live action film? Because I know you're not talking about that horrible one they made in the past. Like it's so bad that the actor from the actor who played Goku had to apologize for appearing in that movie. Like he basically pulled a uh what's the guy from Batman Forever? George Clooney. You know, like George Clooney has been, George Clooney for the last 25 years has been apologizing for appearing in the Batman and Robin and Batman Forever because Joel Schumacher made such a muck up with Batman that it basically killed the Batman movie franchise until Christopher Nolan resurrected it with the Dark Knight trilogy. So it's like George Clooney went on an apology tour for like decades just to, and they even, but because he came back in that little cameo appearance in the Flash, spoiler alert, when the Flash saves everyone and changes the timeline, it's no longer Ben Affleck, but it's George Clooney. And people asked George Clooney today, like, "Are you gonna come back? Are you coming back as Batman now?" He said, "No, he ain't no." He said, "No way in hell." So the same way with George Clooney, the actor who played Goku in the old live action film, he has been on an apology tour for years, apologizing both for just how bad the movie was, and for the fact that he played a whitewashed version of Goku. So I think he was legitimately apologetic about that. So I'm assuming not talking about that live action movie, but there's supposed to be a new one. I don't I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, a lot of anime does not translate well to live action. It just doesn't. For the same reason, a lot of video games don't trans well translate well to live action. It's too much cartoon physics, and one is too much cartoon physics, and also for an American audience, it's too much Japanese cultural quirks that would not be considered politically correct or woke here in America. That wouldn't play well with an American audience. That's why every time they try to make an anime for an American audience here, it does turns out shitty. Like the way they did uh what was that show 3 years ago? Space was this Cowboy Bebop, because they tried to adapt it to an American audience instead of just keeping the cultural Japanese quirks in it, and stop trying to worry about being politically correct for an American audience. They fucked that up. But that same studio did do the One Piece, and that One Piece series has been great. I was highly skeptical when they first when Netflix said they were going to do a One Piece live action. Plus, when I heard it was made by the same studio as the people who did Cowboy Bebop and messed that up, I was like, oh no, they gonna mess this up. And I was like, One Piece is got way too much like cartoon physics going on to be believable in live action. Somehow they pulled it off. So I guess you could make a Dragon Ball Z, but more anime live actions have failed than have done well. Like the only, like I said, there's only two I really will consider a success. One Piece so far, One Piece, the first season, and and what's the samurai? Um, that guy. Like those are like the only two anime that's translated well to live action. Everything else has been kind of a flop. So he says, right, Kanan, they need to make a legit Dragon Ball movie, not Z-Band, Ultimate, etc. Kicking it with Kanan says, protege, right? They have been supposed to release a movie. So I wasn't aware. So they were going to make a live action. Did they actually have a cast for it? Like, did they already have like a potential cast? I don't know what that guy Daryl is talking about. Adam Ayori says I'm 87. Highly doubt it. Unless you mean you're from 87, like like you were from 1987. Custody, Defender, Protege says Deltas, SBS, SAS, Guru, etc. SAS. Are you talking about? You talking about the British military? I think, because well, I don't know, because SAS, that's British. Deltas were actually modeled on British SAS, and SBS but and I'm not sure whether the seals were modeled on the SBS or the SBS was modeled on the seals. I can't remember, but obviously it's that they're very closely related. And Dev Grew is SEAL Team 6, which is a kind of is a tier 1 unit, whereas the SEALs are tier 2, just like Deltas are tier 1 and Green Berets are tier 2. And I'm not sure about SBS and SAS, like if they have the same sort of 3-tiered system for special mission units in the United Kingdom military forces. I don't know. Nigel says DWL as Spaceman. I'm sure they'll do an alien stream one of these days. Oh, you guys are saying your years. Okay, 87. So I would count that as an early millennial. And Nigel says July 81. Custody says October 80. I'm sorry, guys. I thought at first, I was like, I know you're not saying you're 87. I was saying, ain't no way in the world you're 87. But he meant 1987. I'm sorry, a little slow. Probably time to re up on my coffee. And you guys can buy me a coffee if you like. I have an app literally for, it actually says, buy me a coffee. Custody says October 80. September 77. So, Adam Maori says Gundam. Whoa, the birds. G-Force. Yeah, so Gundam. I'm surprised no one mentioned Gundam yet. So, I literally just started watching Gundam. I just finished the first movie several months ago. I'm on to the second movie. I'm going to watch the series, but I'm going to watch the series that came out on Adult Swim like several years ago, because everyone said that was like the best version of the Gundam series, was that one that came out on Adult Swim, like I guess it was like 15 years ago, whenever it was. But I have that on my watch list on Crunchyroll, and it's free. It's not behind a paywall, so I should be able to see that. It might also be on Hulu, Disney Plus. G-Force, like I said, G-Force was actually, I think, a bunch of different series from Japan they were cut and made into one show, just the same way they did Robotech when they took like two different series that came from the Macross franchise and another show that was like Macross, and they cobbled them together and made it look like one show in America, which became Robotech. I think they did the same thing with G-Force. Custody says, I want to talk with you Adam Murray, but I need more to work with, mate. Adam Murray says they always kill our beloved cartoons. I mean, sometimes they move on. You gotta come up. They need new product so they can move new merch. So Adam Murray says X-Men still waiting for my man Gambit. You talking about the new X-Men 97? That's not really anime here, unless you're talking about the X-Men anime, which was actually pretty good. Manager says, yes, 100% I agree. It's the production and management money, these and cash teams are DBZ and not the writers. Yeah, you can only, like, for what it's worth, like the writers gave us good storylines for Dragon Ball Z, but they were forced to do all this filler, and it dragged down the show. Like I said, Dragon Ball probably would be one of my favorite anime shows if it didn't have all that filler and stuff in it that just stretched out the show unnecessarily. Like, no one needs to see a whole episode of two guys just staring at each other like about ready to kill each other. It's like, just fight. I mean, literally having like 25 minutes of people just power levels rising, and that's literally like 25 minutes just showing how each of them are raising their power levels before they fight. Like a whole episode on just people raising that is the dumbest shit I've ever seen. Like, that's why I like Naruto better. So I know, sorry, maybe that might cut deep to some folks because you have that big rivalry between the Dragon Ball Z people and the Naruto people, but Naruto was better written than Dragon Ball Z. Naruto had a lot of filler too, but it it went with the story. Like it didn't the filler in Naruto didn't feel like it was just like it didn't feel like it was just like fluff to keep the show as long as possible as it did with Dragon Ball Z. Adamori says GT is Bandai. Okay. R.I.P. Akira. Yeah. I mean, for a lot of people don't know. I mean, people know in the anime world, people from Japan who are into pop culture. Akira Toriyama was the Stan Lee of Japan, more or less. He was the Stan Lee of Japan, and like he may be best known for Dragon Ball Z, but he did a hell of a lot of other work outside of Dragon Ball as well. Custody says there's a delay, bro, but yeah, box breathing is breath in, breathing in through your nose and count to 4 and draw a line of a box. Exhale from the nose, from the diaphragm, draw another line for 4 seconds, etc. Yeah, I mean, it's different methods. You have transcendental meditation, you have um, empty mind meditation, you have visualization meditation. Um, the delay is just because the delay isn't in real time. The delay is me going through the comments. Like I scroll through the comments and talk. Um, so that's why it's going to be delayed because I'm scrolling through the comments, and so I'm always going to be behind in the comments to where the last comment was actually made till I eventually catch up. Adam Mayori says Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash is an isekai, but refreshingly different. No op characters and different art and director style. Was slow at the start, but leaves a memorable impression. Custody says, I've never tried to explain it via text before. Sorry, all. No problem. I think the easiest way is just empty mind meditation. You don't have to try anything. Like you don't have to visualize anything. You don't have to try to use a. You don't have to try to re- repeat a sacred word over and over. You don't have to even be in any particular posture or position. You can lie down or you can just sit down doing it. It doesn't matter. Whatever's the most comfortable. And with empty mind meditation, you don't have to try to empty your mind. It's not that at all. It's simply empty mind meditation. Is just basically you just with zazen. You just let the thoughts come and go as they will. I think that's like the easiest way to do it, and it can be relaxing. I'm not really into meditation though. If I want to relax, I'll just watch something relaxing or just take a nap or something like that, or even get a massage, especially when I'm overseas, because when I'm in Southeast Asia, massages are very cheap. And I just took a screenshot of the explanation in custody. I don't know why people are asking me things that have nothing to do with anime, but um, and I'm not talking about you guys. I'm talking about some of these random folks that are coming in here. Guys, I'm sure everyone who's come into the conversation has seen the title coming in, so there's no reason to think we're going to change that topic. Adam, you already know you're cool. Adam Murray says you always get one. No, you get more than one in these chats. I mean, these live streams. Like I said, live streams attract stupid people. So I don't know why, because I would just have so much other better things to do than to mock people. Eric Guapo says hello. What's up, Eric? Eric says I don't dive into manga much, but Vinland Saga is my favorite. Yes, right now that's like one of my favorite anime. I haven't read the manga, but as far as the anime, that's what I just delved into that second season of that. I've been waiting for the third season of One Punch Man. Like, when is that happening? Like, that seemed like that's overdue. James Eric said, "Hey, buddy, what's up, James?" Coastly said, "What's Vinland Saga about? The new? Oh, you haven't heard of that? So, all right. So, Custody is made by the same studio as Attack on Titan, so it's the same sort of like animation style, right? And just like Attack on Titans is sort of like historical. Vinland Saga is historical. It's based in the Middle Ages in Scandinavia. So think, and it crosses over with things that were going on in like I would say like the early Middle Ages, which is sometimes called the Dark Ages. So the Dark Ages of Europe, you're talking about like the Viking raids on England and other parts of the United Kingdom and France and stuff like that, and Scandinavian culture and all it actually, like, because I would look stuff up just to see if they were on par with like actual historical stuff, and it looked like their writers actually did some research. Like they even dive a little bit into Arthurian, to King Arthur legend, stuff like that. It's worth checking out. It's only 2 seasons, so you can easily get into it. Both of them are on Netflix, or you can see them on Netflix or on Crunchyroll. But it's definitely worth going into. Like I said, it's sort of like scan about Scandinavian people during the Middle Ages. I don't want to give away too much, but it's pretty good. The name of the main character is Thor, so that should give you a clue. But yeah, just check it out. My cool X says Voltron. Yep, that's why I said my first. Well, at least my first one was Voltron. So if I'm gonna say my favorite series as a kid, it would probably be Voltron. But the Ronin Warriors was kind of dope too. Like back in high school when Ronin Warriors came out. Custody says Dragon Ball as a kid for me was previously on DBZ. Two dudes powering up. The next episode on DBZ, two dudes powering up. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like you literally, like, it's not even, I'm not even trying to be funny. Like there were literally episodes when it was just them powering up. I'm like, are you serious? I said, are you just trying to stretch it out? Like that's, to me, that's bad. You have bad filler and you have good filler. Showing a whole episode of two guys powering up prior to fighting is bad filler. And it's just a way, and it's an insult to the audience, to me. Like, at this point you're insulting the audience to think that, I mean, little kids will watch that stuff, but when you look back at it, like that was kind of crummy to sit there and make kids watch a whole episode of two dudes just powering up for an episode. And then so you're like, all right, so I know that was just an episode of them powering up, so I know they're gonna get into it this episode. You go to the next episode and they're still doing the exact same thing, is powering up, and then you have people around talking about how deadly this fight is going to be. I'm like, really? To me, that was an insult to the audience intelligence, that you have multiple episodes of the good guy and bad guy just powering up before a fight, and they just trying to hype it up. Like, that's why Dragon Ball Z will never be my favorite. Custody said, Kami, nah, bro. Nigel says, "Oh, geez, I completely blanked on Naruto this whole time. Not sure how I truly feel about it, but might just troll myself by doing the." Yeah, Naruto was. I didn't expect it to be good, to be honest. Plus, my friend, I guess he doesn't have patience, so he was like, I can't. He said he didn't want to. I think he did watch most of Naruto, but he was like, I shouldn't get into it because it's gonna take too long to watch. I ended up finishing that pretty quickly because I first started watching just like at lunchtime at work. Like on work, I would just catch it on YouTube. Like you could catch a lot of it on YouTube, and I would just buy, get my lunch and check out and watch Naruto while I was eating lunch. And then sometimes even while I was working, I was still watching it. Then come home and then caught a lot of stuff on Netflix. I actually end up going back and rewatching a lot of stuff on Netflix that I had already watched on YouTube just because I could see it on a wider screen. Custody says with the F-77, how you look younger than me, man. Hey, man, just genetics and working out. That's all I can say. Genetics and working out. That's really all I can say. Adam Murray says, almost caught up, bro. Custody says, My Hero Academia is fun too. Yeah, that's what I said. My Hero Academia is a really good one. The only reason what I had said earlier, I don't know if you had caught that, I was saying someone, I don't know if it were you or someone else asked what would be a good anime for a novice to anime, and I was like, even though My Hero Academia is really fun, I wouldn't recommend it to a new person, a newbie into academia, because they might be put off by it being about like high schoolers. So that's why I said like either Attack on Titan or Tokyo Ghoul, because it's centered around adults, and I think an adult watcher would be more able to relate to an adult protagonist than a child protagonist. But that was another one my brother-in-law I got me everything my brother-in-law recommended to me. He's Filipino, by the way. Everything he recommended to me has been good. The only one I haven't started watching yet that he's also recommended to me, but I'm guessing it's going to be pretty good, is I think it's called That Time When I Turned Into a Slime or something like that. But the three other shows he recommended to me, I've started watching. I liked. So he recommended One Piece. He uh, he recommended My Hero Academia. He recommended Chainsaw Man, and then the last one was the time when I was reincarnated into a slime or whatever it's called. And I think he had recommended One Punch Man, but I think I had already started watching it before he told me to watch it. There's one that I want to watch and I cannot find it anywhere. Like I started watching it a long time ago, and I can't find it anywhere. It's called the what's the name of the name of the Japanese lunchbox? The I forgot the name of the Japanese food box. Bento. Yeah, it's just called Bento or Bento War or something like that. I cannot find that series, and I remember watching like the first two episodes, and it was good. And I have not been able to find Bento anywhere. I actually started watching Food Wars because I thought the Food Wars was Bento, but those are two different things. Stone Skull says, "Hey, is my favorite nerd. Sorry for referring to you as Urkel the other day." And no offense taken. For a lot of people, he is the quintessential black nerd, but to me, I think Urkel was more of a mockery of black nerds because he was like a simp. Like he changed his whole persona to please Laura. When he had a bad chick. I didn't want to say that. I was about to say something else, but he had a bad chick with Myra. Myra looked better than Laura. She liked him for who he was. He didn't have to change who he was, and she was jealous over him. She was a great girlfriend. Instead, he left Myra to be with Laura, who didn't even want him unless he changed himself to Stefan Urkel. Plus, he like his first season on Family Matters, he was like really socially awkward, like into like eating cheese all the time, like like to say like he's sort of like a mousy sort of person. So to me, he was never the quintessential black nerd. To me, the quintessential black nerd was always Dwayne Wayne from a different world. He to me was the quintessential like black nerd. He was he was super smart and you know he was definitely like geeky, but he wasn't socially awkward. Like he got girls and he could could get along well with people. So to me, the quintessential black nerd to me will be Dwayne Wayne, not Stephen Urkel. 'Cause Stephen Urkel was like a mockery of black nerds. Adam Morris says, "Oh, Voltron. I know it's off topic, but anyone see Samurai Pizza Cats?" I didn't. I remember when it came out, but I never watched it because it never looked appealing. It was like Samurai Pizza Cats was just like one of the many type of knockoff Ninja Turtle shows. So that's not. I mean, I know it's not really anime anyway, but yeah, Samurai Pizza Cats was like was a lot of these 90s, mid 90s, late 90s like knockoffs of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I was never into it. I just says yeah, same studios. Attack on Titan. Need definitely checking that out. Yeah, definitely. Like I said, it's on Netflix and it's on Crunchyroll. I'm just waiting. Now I can't wait to season 3 because I want to see where they go with it after what they did with season 2. Now I'm not going to tell you anything else more about it, but definitely check it out. Villain Saga would be like the third one I would recommend to a newbie. Stody says, "Heck yeah, Pizza Samurai Pizza Cats and SWAT Cats was awesome." I just said yes, yes. Ronin Wars definitely. Ronin Wars was the joint. That I remember. I don't know when it came out with where it was released where you were at, but I remember it came out during the summer of '95, and we were all rushed home just 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 in time to watch it because I remember we were actually going to summer school. I was actually graduating from high school, but I needed to finish a math credit, so I went to summer school and just took an easy math class just to get that one credit left. And the only reason I had that credit was because I had I had went to 3 different high schools and all of them had different criteria for finishing school. And the place I ended up graduating from. Sorry for the reconnection, guys. But yeah, the place I just graduated from in Silver Spring, Maryland, they had a higher criterion than the other 2 places where I was. So I still had a math credit left. So I went to summer school, and like a bunch of people like were in summer school at the time. Because some people were doing it just to get past the amount of credits they needed. Like they wanted to actually be above the credits they needed for the following school year. And so it was a bunch of us in summer school just to have something. Like literally some people were just going to summer school to have something to do, and we will all rush home to come see Ronin Warriors. We was like, man, this show was awesome. They even got toys from it. um, Adam Iori says Dragon Ball was done so well to me because it wasn't backtracked so much like Z. Right, and that's literally what I was saying earlier before you came up on the screen. Was I was saying the prequel Dragon Ball was much better written than Dragon Ball Z. Like it was more childlike than Dragon Ball Z, but it was better written, and it was better written. It was a more coherent storyline. The only reason Dragon Ball Z is, I would still say, better than Dragon Ball is just because there was more gravitas to Dragon Ball Z than it was to Dragon Ball, and it kind of like evolved the story from where it was in Dragon Ball. But Dragon Ball was the better made series than Dragon Ball Z. So, but if we're gonna talk about all 4 series, Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, and Dragon Ball Super, I would say Super was my favorite because I think Super took all the best elements of the previous ones and put them together. So you say, yo, damn, Ronin Warriors. Yeah, some of y'all forgot about Ronin Warriors, right? Nigel says he's over 9,000. So he said, yeah, glad you didn't go sleep yet, Nigel, but I hope you feel better, bro. J.A.C says, good evening. I know everything. I know nothing to anime. So you're one of our newbies that we were just talking about, J.A.C. So I was saying, and the other guys can either back me up or they can give me, or they can give you what they think as well. But I was saying, if you never watched anime before and you just curious, want to jump into something and see test the waters, I would tell you, J.A.C, either Tokyo Ghoul, Attack on Titan, or Vinland Saga. Tokyo Ghoul, I think you would have to either catch that on Hulu or Crunchyroll, but Vinland Saga and Attack on Titan are on Netflix. Just check out. I would say just check out the first two episodes. If you don't like the first two episodes, then you're just not gonna like the show. But if you like the first two episodes, I guarantee you'll like the show. And I'm pretty sure most people love Attack on Titan. The people who don't even like watch anime, like that type of anime that most people like, shonen anime, which is like for young men, even they might like Attack on Titan just because of the storyline. You'll see some things that are reminiscent of things they talked about in World War II and the Holocaust and stuff like that, but it's not what you think. It's definitely not what you think. Custody said over 9,000. Denise says, hi, man. What's up, Denise? Lindsay says, hello from Aussie. What's up, Lindsay? Nigel says, hi, I appreciate the check-in, Custody. The Chinese lo-fi is doing this thing. It's actually giving me a boost to play some Hearthstone. Yeah, I'm glad you guys are liking the Chinese classical music. For those who just jumped into the chat, um, a lot of you, that I like playing some ambient music in the background. So I'm playing Chinese classical music in the background. So he's slapping cards, Nigel. Made a draw be in your favor. Adamori says, oh, shout out SWAT Cats. Bro, I missed that. I'm following comments with the bro. Yeah, that's another one. I didn't watch Samurai Pizza Cats. Didn't watch SWAT Cats. I tell you, a lot of these shows, some of those cartoons I never watched. I found out about them by watching Secret Galaxy. It used to be called Pixel. Sorry, it used to be called Toy Galaxy. Oh, sorry guys, just had the lights out. I might have to end this if I can't get the lights back on, but let me see what I can do. If I can't, I am gonna if not, I'm just gonna end this. But I apologize. But um yeah, it's not coming back on, so I might have to end this prematurely. I apologize um for that power outage. And it's incredibly hot too, so not great. Too much. He said too much power, so we're 9,000. All right, that's funny. So I'm sorry, guys. Let me go because I want to give you some low quality. Um, I don't want to give you some like low quality stream here, so I'll let you guys go. I apologize. Oh, we're back. Such is life in 2024, right? So you're gonna hit a Fire TV reboot. That's. I'm sorry. Who was the first one to say over 9,000? They win. You win the prize. Oh, Nigel. Oh, you win the stream, sir. You win today. That was funny. Jerry Koo says, "Who's at the window?" No one at all, but your imagination. All right. Let me get back to the original comments, and let me put it back on the lo-fi too. Because I know I skipped ahead a lot of old comments. I'm glad it came back on because it's hot as I don't know what. I don't care about if I lost like power, other than the stream, of course. But it was the air conditioning I was worried about because it's hot. But let me swing back for a second. Sorry guys, I'm gonna go back up in the comments, but I'm gonna try to rush through them.